What happens when we die? Is there an afterlife? Do we go to heaven? Or even worse, hell? Can we communicate with the dead? And if we can, should we? Let's find out.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 36, the Exorcist episode. We're back. I'm here back with my co-host, as always, Carlos, the technician.
Hey, how's it going?
AKA the technician was having some technical difficulties. And
well, we kind of went them all.
Yeah, and I'm your host, Tony. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing the film The Exorcist and also some other cases that are based on true stories of exorcisms and stuff. But anyways, Carlos, how's everything going? I know you're back to work, and I know you're tired and you're grumpy. How's everything? Everything good?
Back to work. Everything's good. I had a pretty good work week. Not much to do. Anything but a little bit of napping time and this and that, and just working on show notes. But yeah, everything's good so far.
Good.
Looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah.
Even though I work tomorrow though, so that's another thing. So
yeah,
it puts you right back in there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Before we start, I did want to apologize for the last episode we did, that broken glass. You know what? I think I kind of went overboard with like trying to put too much stuff in their pictures and the broken glass and everything. But we're going to try to keep it a little more professional on this episode. But
What is that word? I don't understand what that is.
yeah, and you know what? Before we start, we're gonna start with the talking about the film The Exorcist. But before we start that, I do have some very exciting information that something that happened this week, and I haven't even told Carlos about it yet. I like to surprise him like it's Christmas.
I don't like surprises.
You know what? I actually got contacted by one of our viewers that lives here in San Pedro. And he messaged me through Instagram, and what happened was I guess he was having some activity in his house, and so he when he messaged me, it was weird because I was like, what's going on, is who is this guy, but then he said, you know what, I have a story that I want to share. So anyways, I gave him my number. He called me, and we started talking. He started telling me that in the place where he lives, there's some stuff going on where he sees orbs and hears whispers and stomping. It's just a mixture of a paranormal activity. But anyways, I did a little research on where he's at. It's like they're like apartments kind of. But anyways, on that small property, I did a little research, and I ended up finding out some information because I knew somebody else that knew about the property, and I ended up finding out that the place where he's at, there was a murder there a while back.
Oh.
And some of I'm not gonna say everything right here right now, but some of the stuff that he told me before I even found out this information makes perfect sense with the stuff that's happening and with the person that was murdered there. So I'm excited. I'm excited because I'm actually going to be talking to him again tomorrow, and I'm going to try to see if I could we're going to try to do a quick interview, like the way I'm doing with Carlos right now, like through Zoom or Messenger, and maybe add that small interview into the next episode. But yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy, dude. It tripped me out. And when I told him the information, he was like freaking out too. But anyway, shout out to Matthew. Yeah.
All right, Matthew, and I can't wait to hear this or experience this story.
Yeah, it's really cool. But anyways, Carlos, so what did you think about the film The Exorcist? You watched it before, right?
Years ago, and then I saw it again today, today.
So when was the last time you watched it?
I would probably have to say maybe about 10 years ago or so.
Okay.
And it was great. And I believe this one that I saw was the might have been the director's cut, where of course, this young lady young girl, she becomes possessed because I believe she is playing around with the Ouija board. And her mom was like, "What is this thing?" "Oh, just a board. I just pull it off on it in the closet. I guess nobody knows where it came from." And she's communicating with somebody named what was it, the Howdy, Captain Howdy or
Howdy
so.
doody.
And yeah, and I guess this becomes he's a catalyst for her becoming possessed by a demon. But in this case, it's not a demon. I think it's Satan himself, right? Because
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Name or something.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
So you know what, Carlos? In the beginning of the film, because I didn't watch this movie this time, but in the beginning of the film, I remember they were doing they were digging something, right? They were digging for some kind of treasure or something, or what was it that they were looking for?
So they're excavating in northern Iraq, and in northern Iraq they find this I forget what you call it, but it's they uncover these different buildings from ways back, arrowheads and tools and so forth. And one of the priests is there, one of the fathers, and he notices this little hole in the wall, and he goes in there after being told that they found something here, and he uses a pickaxe and he brings up this little statuette, and it looks like a dragon's head, or in other words, like a demon.
Oh, okay.
And he, through this time, in the beginning, he sees this image, and it kind of has this. You have this eerie sensation that it's trouble. And there's a scene where he's on the ledge, and on the opposite side, or it's like a nice little scenic view, and there's like a demon on the other side, and it has this eerie sound to it, and just great camera setup, and it's amazing. I just love the way that this film is shot.
Yeah, and that statue, did it have something to do with the possession of the girl, or is that just some random thing that they just threw in there?
I think it's a good little setup. It's a little bit of foreshadowing to what's going to happen with this priest in the future.
Okay. Yeah, because
he's the older priest, like in his 70s, right? And he has an ailment. He needs to take pills because he has a heart condition.
Oh, okay.
And that comes into play later.
So you said that this all started with the girl playing the Ouija board, right?
Yes, this will be the next couple of scenes after the priest. It cuts from the priest in Iraq over to I believe it's Georgetown.
Okay.
I don't know which Georgetown is. Might be Massachusetts, I believe. I'm not sure. But this mother.
It's in Massachusetts. Massachusetts.
So this single mom is raising this child, and I believe the mother is an actress, very famous one, and she's always shooting scenes, and her daughter's at home, and of course the daughter has no friends. They're being taken care of by two people that live with them, two little German people, right? That are very good with housekeeping and serving. They're servants basically. And anyways, she starts playing with the Ouija board, and Captain Howdy's mentioned. And later on, starts showing signs of some sort of possession, where she starts having nightmares. She starts seeing the face. Then she's taken to the hospital, I guess, to see the pediatric hospital, go see the doctor, right? And they're giving her a physical, this and that. And then she starts coming up with a temper. The mom doesn't know this because she's not in the room with the physician. But the physician comes out and says, "Hey, your daughter's acting up. She's cursing up a storm, this and that." And later on, it just escalates.
Yeah. And how old is the girl supposed to be when this happens? Is it a teenager like always?
No, I think younger, maybe younger, maybe 11, 12, around there.
Okay, that's cool.
And yeah. So later on, it's the scene where the mother's trying to calm her child down because she's on the bed, and when she's on the bed, this girl is just crying for help, and the bed's just moving up and down, shaking all over the place. And the mom's afraid for her. She even tries jumping on the bed and preventing her from or trying to stop her, right?
Yeah.
But that's when the mom comes out. She needs to take her to a shrink or get her some scans onto her head. And this is where you see the old tech from the 70s and 80s, this camera going around and just scanning parts of her brain, but they're not finding anything. It's like, what's going on here? So they just give her Ritalin.
Yeah. So I know I watched something on this film a while, maybe about a year ago, where they were talking about, I think, the same thing like the movie Poltergeist, where there was stuff going on during filming, right? Did that happen in this movie? Because I mean, I don't know if I'm wrong, but I remember something about like the movie being cursed and stuff happening on set or something about accidents. I remember something that happened with a director or something. Did you find any of that out? Or?
And unfortunately, I didn't have time to look up any fun facts for this movie. I wish I did. But if you have anything to share, that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, maybe I don't remember. I'm not very clear on that, but I do remember there was stuff that happened when the director was like gonna. He flew out to film, and then something happened. I think the plane crashed. He survived, but the plane crashed or something. There was a bunch of little things that usually happen when films like this are done. But
okay.
Yeah. Well, I know the film The Exorcist is loosely based on a true story, and I found this out because when I was doing the research on the film that I watched, the Emily Rose Exorcism of Emily Rose, some of the Exorcist stuff did pop out, the true story of The Exorcist, and I know in the true story it wasn't a girl, it was a little boy, the one that was possessed. And the same thing, he used to play the Ouija board, the same thing like in the movie. I guess the movie kind of kept it pretty original, just changed the character from a male to a female and the names, of course. But what happened with this little boy was, just the little bit that I learned from it was that one of his aunts used to be like a psychic, right? And she would play the Ouija board, and she would teach him how to I guess try to develop these abilities. And so what happens in the true story, the aunt dies, and then the little boy starts trying to communicate with her through the Ouija board. And that's when the shit hit the fan, basically, when the possession and the demonic voices, because there was multiple spirits inside of him, and he would speak different languages. Did that happen in the movie too? Did the girl speak different languages?
I believe so. She was speaking in some gibberish.
Was it like Latin or something?
I think it was sounding like Latin, but then later on they found out that she was talking backwards when we reviewed.
That's right.
The tape.
That's right. Yeah, in the movie that was.
Because the younger father, who was did the early investigation, who was also a psychiatrist, he had to prove whether she had mental illness or if she was possessed by a demon.
Oh, okay.
And he needed that proof so he can get the information. So what do you call it again? The approval from the Catholic Church to start an exorcism. So he's reviewing the tapes and it was backwards.
I thought you were gonna say he was fluent in reverse.
That's me. That's me right there. I go backwards.
Yeah, but you know what? In the true story, I also remember that the kid would speak in different languages, and not only that, the same thing like in the Anna Elizabeth case, he would know things that nobody else knew besides the priests. Information that only they knew. So, and I do believe that in the true story, they do end up taking the spirit out of the child. Oh, and like in the movie too. In the movie, there's a scene, right, where the girl is like getting scratches on her body, right, like where names would appear or something. I forgot what happens in the movie, but in the true story, that did happen. Where like when they were doing the exorcisms, the little boy would start screaming and would say that his body hurt, so they would like check his body, and like writing would appear, like scratch marks, but in like letters and stuff. So
right, just like in the Exorcism movie, I believe the young girl's name is Reagan, and she's being levitated by the demonic forces up on top of her bed, and you just see these slashes come out.
Yeah,
just the flesh just starts to tear. You see hands going over and causing bruises, and in another scene where the mom goes in there to check up on her, they lift up her shirt where her belly and it's exposed, and you see something come up from up above her, like in her ab area. It says, "Help me."
Yeah.
Like the Reagan's spirit is trying to break free.
Yeah, like her soul, her soul. But,
it's fighting for the body.
Yeah, so I do believe that in the true story that happened, where the writing would appear, the speaking in different languages. I don't know about this talking in reverse thing, but the different languages. And now that I remember, the reason that they didn't use the you know the make him a boy, a male in the movie, and using the names and stuff was because the family wanted to keep it like a, not a secret, but like anonymous. They didn't want people to know the name of the boy and the name of the family. So supposedly the boy is still alive now, and everything's fine. I guess after they did the exorcisms and took the demon or demons out, everything, he didn't even remember any of the stuff that happened. So.
Oh wow. That's what they say, that some people do remember and others don't. It's just something that's 50-50.
Yeah. So what happens in the? I remember in the movie there's a window scene, right, where like somebody jumps out the window or something. What was that all? I forgot about that.
Right. There's I forget the name because I forget about the part. But there's another character that goes in there, and I guess what happens is that he decides to jump out the window, but before he does, or so his neck is twisted around. So they think it's foul play, but they're like, how would this happen? The chances are slim that this person would jump off the window, and when it lands, the head would be twisted like that. So they were thinking it's murder or something happened in the house. But then that's when the investigator gets involved, and the parents and the priests are trying to push them away because they don't really want to know about the business of the church and the exorcisms. But that's one of the killings there, and the final scene is where the two priests are exorcising, trying to get the demon out. And of course, we're talking about the frail father first, the older one in the 70s. He has to take the medicine. He took one during the rest period of the exorcism, but when he comes back, he's caught on the over the bed, laid over his Bible where the possessed girl is, and the younger father's like, oh, he's passed out. He has no heartbeat, so he has him on the floor, and he's trying to give him that old school CPR by just punching on his chest. And so he dies, and so it's like the young guy's like, well, yeah, it's time for me to take over. He has to do something, and he's already lost his mother. He feels guilty about putting his mother in I think it's like a geriatric home or convalescent home where they don't really take care of the people there. She passes away, so he has this guilt. So he decides to say, hey, take me, take my body. And what happens is the demon jumps from the little girl over to this younger father, and you see his eyes change. He's about to transform into this demon. He's gonna get these scars just like the little girl is, and in the eyes. But he fights it. He's like, no, I don't want this to happen. I want to do one last thing. And that's where he jumps out the window and pretty much put an end to the demon and put an end to his life.
That's right. So it's almost like he wanted to like do something good before, like almost like he made so many. He feels like he made so many mistakes that this is his chance to like do something right.
Because in the beginning of the film, you kind of learn that this father is already kind of giving up on his faith. He's a father. He's also a boxer. He's trying to do different things. His mom's kind of ill, but these bad things just start cycling up on him throughout the movie. But this is his chance to make amends and repent. And while he lands and there's blood going down the steps, and I'm sure because of that he's hurt and dying on the floor. Another father comes that they mentioned briefly. He comes and he gives him like his last what do they call it? Part of the 7 sacraments, the last one where you pass away, and he tells him, "Is there anything you want to say before you pass away?"
What did he say?
He didn't say much. He was just squeezing his hand, so he was still there. Yeah, I didn't hear anything, at least on the cell phone that I was watching it on.
You know what? I think that I'm kind of mixing now the second film, because there's a second and a third one, right? I think even a fourth one. But I think in the second film, I guess what happened was that the priest that goes to talk to the one that's dying in the stairs, like he ends up whispering something to him, and the demon goes into him or something like that, and that's how they continue the story for the second part, I think.
Oh, okay. Maybe they edited the.
Yeah. So that's why I was thinking that he whispered something in the end, but I guess not.
Yeah. You don't hear anything in this one, and he just is giving him his last blessing, and supposedly in this first film he's supposed to go to heaven or whatever. But I guess they carry the story on to the second one.
Yeah. So I guess the film was not so much about the possessed girl. It was more about the priest, right? It was more like the story about the priest. It seems like that.
Maybe like about 2 or 3 stories you can say. There's the story of the 2 fathers and then the child. So
Yeah.
it goes. Yeah, it's a nice way of doing it, and then
Yeah.
combining it in the end.
Yeah, it worked out perfectly, I think. You
Mhm.
know. Um,
Definitely. And of course, there's the practical effects. There's like the fake vomit scenes that a bunch of parody movies have made fun of.
yeah, yeah,
The levitations.
yeah.
It's great. That facial makeup that they put on her is nice.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
what? After the those these spoofs came out where they make fun of the film, to me it kind of messed up those scenes now because I can't see those scenes the same anymore. Like where the girl's vomiting or where her head turns or even the part where that very contradictory part where she has the crucifix and doing that stuff to herself. And
Yeah,
then
she's stabbing her.
in these spoofs they made so much fun of those things, and now I believe if I watch the film, those parts aren't going to be have as much impact as they did back when I watched it when I was I think the first time I watched The Exorcist I must have been, I want to say, like 10 years old. And back then it freaked me out.
Yeah, I think
But,
I saw it around that age too, and it just gave me nightmares.
oh yeah, yeah, great film. One thing I did find out about these exorcisms was that I don't know if you saw this online, Carlos. In 2018, the Catholic, I don't know if they don't call it the Catholic Church, but the Catholic, the headquarters. They did a thing in 2018 where they did a special like a boot camp, like a training for priests for exorcisms, because they said that there was a boost of possessions. I don't know if you read that, which was that's
An
crazy.
article like that.
It was a couple
Yeah,
years
it
a
is
couple years
because
ago.
right. Even in the movie, they were saying like, oh yeah, because of advancements in science and mental illness, exorcisms have been dropping, and that one, the article that I read from 2019 or so, or 2020, now they're on a rise again
Yeah.
because I guess a lot of people feel like they need help. There's
Yeah.
some sort of activity out there or something that's taken over. And like you said, like you mentioned, the Vatican and so on is I guess they're putting things up on other internet. You apply now, become an exorcist.
Yeah, yeah, but I did find that
No
out.
experience necessary.
I did find that online where they interviewed
Yeah.
they interviewed a priest, and he was talking about that, how 2 years ago they had that boot camp because in 2018 was like when they saw a peak in people getting possessed. And now that everything's more advanced, they kind of are able to tell the difference between when it's mental problems or a real possession. So
Right.
maybe that's why all this stuff is happening, dude. The COVID and people going
Yeah.
nuts, fighting each other over chicken sandwiches at Popeyes.
It is like in The Exorcist, they had a people that are trained in a little bit of psychology, just like the young father was a psychiatrist. Now the Vatican gets involved and they're trying to differentiate between a demon and some sort of mental illness now, and they have to take all these courses and ask all these questions.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
they have all these different phases of an exorcism, and I think I should read a few of those phases. I'll try to read them briefly, though I don't want to get too involved into them. But there's the four phases of deliverance. That's something that I found.
Excuse me.
And this is considered to be breaking Satan's bonds and finding freedom through Christ. So phase one is 30 days of prayer, specific to each individual. If a person does not complete a day, they must start over again. During that time, the person learns discipline and matures in their faith, coming to know and love God and to see their need for Him.
Yeah.
In phase two, let's see, at this phase, the prayer prescription is modified as they focus on conversion, spiritual formation, renunciation, and ordering the sacramental life. This is when people start to realize weaknesses and things out of order in their life. They accept grace and pursue virtue and learn that God's strength is sufficient. Let's see, there is also renunciation of past sins and spiritual connections. And in this stage right here, phase two, is most people are delivered in the first two phases. So first two phases, excuse me. And that's about 80% of these cases in phase one and phase two are pretty much over with. Phase three, for those still experiencing problems, the third phase is a formal intake. At this point, the first two phases will have helped. We are going to begin to see what is natural and what is supernatural, to see what is physical in terms of medical needs, psychological or spiritual. This is the part we were just talking about. Some need psychological work or counseling from just the trauma they've had. If it's possession at this stage, Let's see. If it's possession, let's see. Where am I at? Oh, yeah, here we go. Let's see. If it's possession at this stage, the person is going to start to get worse. They will suffer more and get attacked more. But there's going to be regularity to it. These demons have specific missions, things that bother them, things that trigger them. We start to find out clearly what their issues are just by tracking we start to find clearly what their issues are just by tracking their behavior. And there's the phase 4. This is the point that leads to the 4th phase, the formal exorcism. By having gone through the 3 previous phases, there will be a greater understanding of how to approach the exorcism and to know which demons are at work and how to help the person get better. When a person is harassed by the devil, it's only because God is allowing it. But in the end, the person has to be the one to seek God and work at it. And let's see. So during phase 3, in the 4th phase of deliverance, what I just briefly mentioned, there's also a couple of stages also between that one. There's the presence, pretense, breakpoint, the voice, and the clash. And some of these you come across in the movie The Exorcist.
And the academy is like.
Hopefully I didn't dabble a lot like a demon there.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, it's crazy all the steps they have to go through to. I mean, you would think that, like, let's say somebody's having signs of possession or supernatural stuff happening. Hey, I'm the priest. Walk in, I see something just levitating. I'm like, okay, exorcism. Walk out. why would you even try to have to go through steps? But I guess it's part of the.
It's part of it, and sometimes it takes months and months to get approval, which is all this madness and craziness and things breaking and people getting hurt or happening, and you still have to wait maybe 30 days.
You have to get approved. You have to get approved.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, Carlos, did you watch have you watched the film The Exorcism of Emily Rose or no? Have you heard of it?
Well, I've heard about it, but I've never seen it.
Oh, okay. You should check it out.
Yeah. If you don't mind spoiling it, I don't mind at all. But I will check it out later on.
Yeah, the movie. Well, you know what? The movie, just like The Exorcist, they did take a lot of liberties. Of course, they add a lot of stuff to make it, more entertaining for the audience. But I mean, they kept it pretty much to the way it really happened, to the true story, which I really like. I like that. I like it when movies, stay true to the true story, almost like The Conjuring, the first Conjuring film, which was almost exactly like the what happened to that family. And then of course the second film took, it just went all crazy. It did show a lot of the true stuff, but then it got way carried away with fantasy stuff.
Right.
But yeah, anyways, this film, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, this film is based on the true story of a girl named Anne Elizabeth Michelle. And most people know her as Annalise. That was like her nickname, I guess. But anyways, this girl, she grew up. She was born in Germany, and she lived in Germany. And her family, always talked about her. After all this happened, they always said that growing up, she was a happy child. She had no signs of, mental illness or no drug abuse, nothing like that. Just a normal kid. And not only was she was mentally sane, she was also very smart. She had gotten a full scholarship to go to college and all that stuff. And that's kind of where the problem started, which seems like we always talk about this, where a lot of paranormal activity or hauntings, or now with this, the exorcisms, possessions, seem to happen a lot to people when they're in their teenage years. And same thing with Annalise. She was 16, I believe, when she had her first episode. And everything started. There is stories that supposedly, I don't know if this is true, that she would play with a Ouija board, but who knows? That's not really in the files, I guess. But that's what some people have said, that they've interviewed about the true story. So what happened to this girl was that it all started with her having something that I think is very common among a lot of people. I think we talked about this, Carl, and I think this happened to you, and it's happened to me for sure lots of times. And this is the sleep paralysis. where you
Yes.
you can't get up, like where you're half asleep, half awake, and you feel like something's on top of you. You like there's like some kind of what they call in Spanish, the Latinos, we call it the la subida del muerto.
Yeah.
Well, anyways,
Definitely.
she started experiencing this where she would feel like somebody's on top of her, and she would hear like I guess voices, like whispers in her ears and stuff. So anyways, that was the beginning of it. That was the first, like kind of like the first level. And after that, I think after that she did tell her parents, and nothing happened for a year. And this was if she was 16, that was when she was 17. She started having these issues again, where she would hear like sounds in the room where she's sleeping with her sisters, and she would hear like knocking sounds or footsteps, like running footsteps. And the interesting thing was that it wasn't just her hearing these things; her sisters would actually hear these things too. So it started becoming a problem, because I guess she started getting really like scared. She was really afraid. And so when a kid kind of starts kind of panicking, the parents don't know what to do. So what do? Of course, you take them to a doctor, make sure everything's okay, even though the sisters did hear the same things, but she was the one kind of like tripping out about it. So they ended up taking her to a doctor, and the doctor ended up recommending a neurologist, right, where they do the brain scans and all this. So she goes to see the neurologist. They do the brain scans. Everything comes out negative. There's no issues, no problems. And so they send her on her way. Like, and again, it's funny because it seems like with Annalise, these things happen, like it would jump a year. Like something would happen, and then it would take another year for the next thing to happen. So again, another year goes by, same thing starts happening again. But the thing is, every time it happens, it seems to escalate. First, it was just like the being, the sleep paralysis. Second was the sounds. Third, we start getting into like voices telling us to do things, or to just voices talking to her. So again, when this happens, on I believe it was her third episode, they end up taking her back to the neurologist. They do the scan again, and they don't find anything again. So they end up prescribing some medication, some drugs, to kind of calm her down whenever she starts panicking like this, because they think it's more of like it's just in her head. It's not real, like she's imagining stuff. So, and the thing is, like I said, she was raised very Catholic. They were a very religious family, so they were thinking maybe this had something to do with it. It's like, when you go to church and they talk to you about hell and doing bad things, so you start kind of like getting scared. So they're thinking it's something like this, that all that information is making her kind of freak out. So they give her some drugs. Everything's okay again for another year. And in 1972, this was when she starts she starts not only hearing things but smelling things. Like she'll smell, like you said, Carlos, in the Exorcist, where they start smelling like something rotting, or like just a very stinky smell, and burning. There was also burning smells. So again, here we go back to the neurologist. They do a scan, and this time they do find something. They find that she's suffering of epilepsy, right? So now they give her what's the solution? Give her more drug, give her a stronger drug. And I think this is where they made. I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, someone what to do when this is happening, especially being a doctor. I mean, you can't just say, yeah, it's a demon. So they just give her more drugs, try to suppress it. But I think this, I mean, this is my opinion. I believe by doing this, if this was a real possession, which I do believe it was, I think ended up kind of helping the whatever was inside of her, whatever, be it a demon or the devil. It almost like gave it more. It made it easier for that entity to take over, because now you know how they say that people that do drugs, or people that drink alcohol, their minds are more susceptible to spiritual attacks. That's a thing. Yeah. So anyways, so this happens. They give her this drug, and now things are serious now. Like she starts attacking people. She starts breaking religious artifacts. Like anything she would find, like a virgin or crosses, she would get them and break them. And I think again, this also has to do with the whole religious thing. But she starts doing these things, and her mom on one occasion walks in on her, and she's standing in front of and I think they show this in the movie. She's standing in front of a Virgin Mary, like a little figurine, little statue, and she's just staring at it and kind of like making like growling sounds and stuff. But the thing is, her eyes are all black. And that's one thing in the true story that the mom did say, that when she looked at her, like she was almost like hypnotized, right? Looking at this statue, and she went up to her, and her eyes were just like pure black. Like there's no white part of the eye, just black. So that's when they end up taking her, of course, back to the specialist. And this time the specialist is all like, you know what? There's nothing else I could do. What else can I do? I can't keep on just giving her more drugs, just sedate her. So he ends up recommending for them to find religious help, like a priest, and try to see if maybe they could figure out what's going on. So they end up finding this priest. I think it was let me see. I think I wrote down his name here. I think it was Father. Yeah, there we go. Father Alt, and he's the one that ends up. He goes and does the thing that he checks on her, makes sure it's it's a real possession. Checks the files for if she got mental help and all these things, and so he ends up recommending an exorcism, and it goes through. They accepted the whole thing of doing it. So they end up finding another priest, which was going to be the one that was going to help Father Alt. And I think his name was Father Rez, if I'm not mistaken. But so anyways, they start the doing the exorcisms. And like you said, Carlos, the exorcisms, sometimes it's not something that just happens where they go and they're like, oh, okay, Jesus bless you and it's done. It doesn't work that way. It takes time. Some exorcisms that I saw online could take years, so it's not something that's just quick. So they start doing these exorcisms, and this is where like the story gets really interesting, because they actually recorded the exorcisms on tape. And these exorcisms, you could actually find them on YouTube, and you'll find these recordings of the girl or the demons talking through the girl, and it's in German, but you'll get the subtitles. And so this demon starts saying that it's multiple demons. It's not just one. I believe there's 5 or 6, and so they all take turns talking and saying their names, and the priest end up asking questions like, why is it that you're in this girl? And it starts doing all that. You know what? Right now we'll play a little audio bit of it. So she started doing things like eating insects. She would eat spiders. She would drink her own urine. So it got to the point where this girl was hurting herself so bad, and I mean, you'll see in some of these pictures right here that she ends up looking like really bad. Like her eyes are black, just from like punching herself and scratches. And so what the family ends up doing, because they can't control this anymore, and the exorcisms as they're doing exorcisms, things are getting worse and worse. They end up tying her down so she can't hurt herself anymore, right? So now at this point, I guess the demons feel, or the demon or demons feel like, okay, now we can't make her hurt herself. What's the next thing we could do? Okay, let's starve her. So they start not letting her eat. So they would try to feed her, and she wouldn't eat, and days went by, and she starts losing all this weight. She ended up towards the end of her life weighing only 60 pounds, which is crazy for like an adult, And in the pictures you'll see that she looks almost like a skeleton, like it's horrible. Her teeth are all messed up because she would, bash herself on her face on the walls and break her teeth. It was crazy. It's really sad. It's really sad that this happened. But towards the end of the case, I guess the priest kind of were like, we're not gonna win this battle. She's so bad. And one of the priests even said, you know what, maybe we should just put her back on the medication because, this is getting too crazy and we're gonna get in trouble if something happens to this girl. So they end up trying to put her back on the medication. A doctor comes in to see how she is, and unfortunately she ends up, passing away. And the thing is, on the last exorcism they did, there was something that she said that the night previous to to her passing away, when they were doing the exorcism, they said that the demon voices stopped, and then it was her voice like saying, what she said, please, absolution, and those were her last words. And then after that, they found her dead the next morning. And another interesting thing about this case was that makes it even more real was that this case ended up going to court because of the whole thing with the medication. So they end up let me see here, they accused the parents, not only the parents but the two priests that did the exorcism of what was it, I think it was like negligence or something. Oh yeah, negligent homicide. So they were accusing them of her death because of the whole thing of not giving her medicine, or at least taking her to the hospital when she was, so bad, when she wasn't eating, so that they could at least, I guess, put like an IV or something. I don't know. So the case goes to court. The case goes to court. They end up presenting the evidence, and these are the tapes that that are online of the real exorcism, where you hear the demon talking, and they use this as evidence to show that she was possessed. But of course, being in the real world, that's all like a bunch of hocus pocus to people. So they end up saying, yeah, this is a bunch of baloney. So they end up of course losing, and they did get accused. But the thing is, what's crazy in Germany, I don't know how the law works, or at least back then, they only gave the priest, I think they gave him 3 months in jail, and they ended up not even serving the 3 months. They did something like what is it called when you don't go to jail? They put them on probation for 5 years, and the parents didn't have to do any time because the court decided that I guess they had suffered enough going through everything they went through. After they showed all the stuff that happened, the pictures, the video, the audio. So I guess the court was like, you know what, these parents already suffered enough. They lost their daughter, and you could tell that they were hurt by what happened to her. So that's the story. hey, like my mom used to say, colorín colorado, este cuento se ha acabado. yeah, but it's a great case. It's a great case, and you gotta watch the movie, Carlos. You gotta watch the movie.
I do, because what you're saying now, there's a lot of similarities with the Exorcism, especially with the super strength, the powers, and everything else, and what's going on with the self-inflicting wounds and all that. Mm-hmm. But then there's a case scenario that you're talking about, so I definitely have to see it before that, and how the trial starts and how it ends. Also, a fun fact I just want to mention real quick: other religions also perform exorcisms. And the other religions would be the Pentecostal religion.
I've seen that one. I've seen that one on Facebook and YouTube, where the guy's doing a Street Fighter. Hadouken. Is that one it?
Oh.
Have you seen that? They actually,
no, what is that?
They actually made a funny video, like a meme kind of thing, but it's like a short video where I think it's a Pentecostals, where they line up all the people that like are possessed and stuff or something, and he's doing Hadoukens.
Yeah, it's a meme, and usually Pentecostals, when they're deep in prayer, they want to remove any demons or any sins. They fall over, right? Because they put their hand over their head. And there's this video that came out years ago where there's a lot of them lined up in a row. I guess yeah, it was like a TV evangelist or something, and they
Yeah.
all fall. It's maybe about 15 or so,
It's like
and they all fall over.
a bunch of
Yeah, so
dominoes.
some, yeah, so yeah, exactly. They all fall over like dominoes. But some wise guy decided to put in an animation of Ken. If nobody knows what Street Fighter is, Street Fighter is a video game with a character that throws a fireball and tries to defeat the enemy with it. Anyways, Ken throws a fireball in this video, and it hits the first guy, and they all
Yeah.
the Pentecostals fall back.
Hey, it's not only a video game; it's also a movie with Van Damme. Street Fighter.
Oh my lord! I don't want to get it. That's an episode on its own. Street Fighter.
Yeah,
So
Street
many
Fighter. The
movies
Street
out
Fighter
there.
episode.
So, other religions that perform exorcisms: Pentecostal, Shintoism, Buddhism. I believe that's the religion of Buddhism, not the theory, but oh, what do you call it again? Okay, let me start over that. Pentecostal, Shintoism, Buddhism, and in some cases, Muslims.
I think you're
That's
gonna
a
say.
fun fact.
I think you're gonna say the last one's gonna be and everything that ends with isms. Oh man.
All right, so I have a ghost story. This is set somewhere probably in the 1970s, 73, 74, and it's in an area where there's a lonely house next to a church. There's no other homes around that area. So this young man comes out of his room and decides to walk towards the hallway because he notices his father is in the living room, kind of like an L shape, and he's about to go bowling. So he's walking out of his room, and as he turns around to look at his room, he notices that there's a shirt flying, and the shirt is flying in midair, just suspended there. And the funny thing about it is that it's still on a hanger. So he's like, what? And it's just coming closer and closer towards him.
Mhm.
Now he looks at it and he's just afraid of this thing. He's like, what's going on? He tries to run like up towards that is, but he has that fear in him. It's instilled and he just can't move for about maybe 4 or 5 seconds. But eventually he just takes off, goes up the hallway, turns around, and his dad's like, what the hell are you doing? Because he's, misbehaving in the house.
Mhm.
And this way he tries to act all cool and he just sits down on the living room. And this is probably about 8 o'clock. His father takes off by this time. Then it's 8:30. Then it's 9:30. Then time flies even more. So he's like, I think I'm gonna go back. So he decides to walk back to the hallway, and as he gets closer, he sees a shirt, and it's on the floor. And his mom walks in from her room to the hallway, and she's like, "What happened?" He's like, "You know what? This it's hard to believe and hard to tell you, but it's kind of hard to believe, but this thing was flying towards me." And his mom's like, notice most of the time a mom would say, "You're dumb. You stop making up stories." Well, the mom was like, "Well, there's something I should tell you. The other day, the dog was barking into the hallway towards your room too, towards nothing." And then he looks at his mom's like, "And you never told me this stuff."
So what
That's
happens?
The little story that I have.
Well, that was it.
I think it's just that they were just. That was it.
I thought it was gonna have a twist that like it was the parents pranking the kid or something.
I wish.
Also, so it was actually real then. The shirt was floating.
The shirt was floating.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
And the
Who-
parents never told.
who told you this?
Never told the person. Somebody.
So this
not
is
related.
So it's a true
Yeah,
story
yeah.
though. Oh damn.
It's a true story.
Oh,
Yes.
so now-
yeah. So there's activity. Yeah, and there's activity in this house which is near a church, and it's the
Ah.
only house in that area. And the funny thing is that the mom was like, "Oh yeah, we know this place was haunted. There's
Yeah.
some things in the house." And and all of a
Oh,
second,
man.
you never told me. Yeah, grandpa.
Oh man. All right. Yeah. Well, I think we're done for today. The episode 3666. But yeah, it was a fun episode. Fun episode. But anyways, Carlos,
Yeah.
anything you wanna, any shout outs or anything you wanna mention before we exit?
Subscribe, like us, and also comment anything you want. Any suggestions, any stories, anything positive. If it's
Yeah.
negative, then go for it too.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people, after what I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, are probably really excited for the next episode, to get that story from Matthew.
Oh, excited
Yeah.
about that too. That's gonna be
Oh,
awesome.
man. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching. And, like Carlos said, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Follow us on, all the stuff, Instagram. I don't think Carlos has made that Instagram he promised. Oh, man. All right, guys. Well,
I'm gonna make a new one, man.
thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you so much.
Ich hab gerichtet, so dass ich in dem Wald bin. Ich trag Idiotnasen noch so lang, bis es lebt wird. So.